I've always loved Agapanthus, having spotted them on holiday in warmer countries when I was younger. I never thought really you could grow them that well in the United Kingdom, but you can, although in my area I would tend to plant them in pots so that I can bring the pots into a sheltered position during the winter time. This variety I've had in a pot for many years now. As you can see, it's in a really decent sized pot. I can hardly move it. It's about the biggest sized pot I can get. If I do need to divide it, I have to put it into smaller pots. But this is an established variety and it's Agapanthus Blue Storm. This is an evergreen variety of Agapanthus. Some people say semi-evergreen. It just means that the leaves don't die down completely during the winter and you have to sort of tidy up the crown, whereas other Agapanthus, the leaves will completely die away and you can cut them off at soil level. On my summer patio, this Agapanthus starts producing its flower heads through June, with the first flowers probably showing colour around about the middle of June. And here I am towards the end of the month and I've got a really good flowering display which will last for many weeks on this long flowering variety. June, July are the typical months and I would expect this still to be carrying flowers right the way through July. And as you can see, this is a generous variety. It produces dozens of flower spikes. I can remember counting them one year. I don't know if I got quite so many this year, but one year I had about 50 of these lovely stems of bloom on this single clump. So you'll have dozens and dozens of them. Some of them still growing up from the base, some of them fully open, which means that Blue Storm will be in flower over many weeks to give you a long-lasting display to enhance your patio arrangements. Each individual flower head produces a number of these dainty little trumpets of bloom. What have I got on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, a dozen or more of these little trumpets with that lovely blue stripe down the centre of the pale whitish blue outer petals, and in the centre of that bloom, just protruding out, these beautiful little stamens that the bees will come in and feed from, just getting some sustenance through the summer. So a lovely flowering display, a long-lasting flowering display, repeat flowering blooms and magnificent little heads. Not as big as some other varieties of Agapanthus, but what it makes up for is the number. Dozens and dozens of heads of flower over many weeks. And another feature of Agapanthus Blue Storm is that it's quite drought tolerant. So if you're in a very hot region, where you tend to go away a lot for weekends or at work, this variety doesn't need the regular daily watering that some other summer bedding plants need. I do keep my big pots in saucers so I can top that up with moisture earlier in the day to give plants a reservoir of water to take up at the height of a summer's day. But being a drought tolerant variety, it's not going to suffer too much if you get really hot days and you haven't managed to get out and do the watering. So for long flowering summer season of colour, dozens of stems produced over the course of many weeks, each topped with these lovely blue, slightly striped flower heads. Then Blue Storm could be just the Agapanthus to fill that summer colour gap and produce a magnificent display to brighten up your patio. Now once these flowers have faded, I'll literally follow each of these stalks right the way back to its base and cut it away just to tidy up the plant and leave the foliage in place for the rest of the year. I can move the pot out of the way into a quieter position for the rest of summer just to keep on growing and keep it watered and fed through the rest of the year. And then in the autumn, I'll move the pot to my unheated greenhouse to give it some winter protection. It doesn't need warmth or heat over winter, but I just want to keep the worst of that cold, wet winter weather off it. Stop watering it as we go through autumn, let the foliage die back. I tidy up that foliage in the new year as we're moving through into late winter, early spring. Tidy up the plant, you'll start getting the new growth developing. That's a sign that I can start watering again. You'll soon get a lovely crop of new leaves developing, and I'll move this pot back out onto my patio probably sometime through May, ready for it to start producing its flower spikes as we move through June and July to put on a magnificent summer display. For something short, compact and perfect in a pot, check out this award winner. This is Agapanthus Double Diamond. Received the Award of Garden Merit from the Royal Horticultural Society for its garden performance. Superb in a pot, producing a crown of foliage about 9-10 inches tall, and then spikes of flowers up to just over a foot in height to put on an absolutely superb high summer display of bloom. And its name, Double Diamond, alludes to the fact that these are double white flowers. Beautiful little heads of white trumpets, and each of those little trumpets of white bloom has got a double flowered form, putting on a lovely full head and a beautiful display when it's in full flower in high summer. Now, I've grown my plant in a pot for quite a few years now, and I moved this into my unheated greenhouse for the winter just to give it some winter protection. I think outside it can get cold and damp, and it can really suffer if you get a severe winter, so some winter protection is ideal. But this is a plant for the summer patio. Put it somewhere you can enjoy it when it's in full bloom. Other Agapanthus I've got on the patio flowering around about June into July, and now we're moving through July. This is when Double Diamond really comes into its own. Now, Double Diamond is perfect on a hot, sunny patio. In fact, it'll prefer a position where it gets full sun to the height of the day. And the lovely thing about Agapanthus is they're pretty drought tolerant too. So even in a very hot, dry summer, your Agapanthus should still flourish. I still tend to keep my pot in a little saucer so that I can top that up with water. If conditions are really dry, you can literally just fill the saucer with moisture, and then the pot can take up the extra water it needs on a really, really hot summer's day. Flowers will develop over the course of several weeks. So I've got some stems in full flower, but new ones still developing, which gives Double Diamond that lovely long flowering season. And once these flowers have faded, I'll follow the stems right the way back down to the base and just snip each one away completely, just to tidy it up and leave the crown of leaves for the rest of the year. Move it into my protected greenhouse for the winter, stop watering, let that foliage die down, clear it up, and resume watering in the spring. As the pot develops, it will need to be put into a slightly larger pot year on year, just to accommodate the roots and this beautiful crown of foliage. If you notice any leaves just dying, just snip these off, pull them away. Sometimes leaves will start dying at the very tip, so you can just follow these back and just pull them away neatly, just to tidy up the plant, keep the display looking its best. Otherwise, for me, Double Diamond, short, compact, beautiful, pure white blooms are one of my favourite Agapanthus, and a perennial to grow in a patio pot. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and would be really grateful if you could click the thumbs up, like button below right away. Thank you. We all want colour in our gardens and plants that bloom over a really long period too. So please check out some of the other videos in this series that highlight flowers for patio pots and container gardens, Hardy plants that come back every year in your main flower borders. A perennial with fancy foliage and flowers for a shady position and early colour. Something with great drought tolerance that looks wonderful even during the hottest summer weather. The perfect perennial climber to add height and impact as it layers on extra colour to your displays. And some great hardy perennials that will bring in the bees and beneficial insects to feed. You'll find these and many more videos on my channel at Adam's Gardening Guides, so please check these out and subscribe to my channel too, so you'll be the first to hear about new videos and plants to choose for your garden. Thanks for watching and happy gardening!